Sweet dreams are made of. Now I've come back again.
I'm joined by Simon Breeze from Community Action Sutton. They've been at the heart of supporting charities and community groups for years. And with Small Charity Week just around the corner, we'll be finding out how charities and local groups are being celebrated and supported. And of course, Simon's picked some top tunes to soundtrack the chat. So let's dive straight in. How you doing, Simon?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me. My first time on radio, so I'm excited.
That's not a bad place to start. So welcome to my mixtape. We'll start at the beginning. What's the story behind Community Action Sutton?
Yeah, so Community Action Sutton, we used to be called Sutton Centre for Voluntary Services, and so it's something that most London boroughs have. In fact, most sort of areas, that Kent, Surrey would have something equivalent. And we're a charity that's set up to support charities, which sounds a bit meta. But actually, what we're there to do is so often there's a lot. When people think about charities, they think of Red Cross and Oxfam, like big multinationals with quite a lot of resources. But actually, working in Sutton, there's quite a few smaller charities. And when I say smaller, I'm thinking about like charities which maybe have one or two paid staff and then utilise volunteers. But we also work with like Friends of Parks, so even the smallest types of community groups. So our role will be to, depending on what their needs are, help them with a range of things, which I think I'm going to talk about a little bit later. And often we do things for them at scale. So take something simple like payroll. Let's say you're a small charity, you've got one member of full-time staff, and then you've got like lots of part-time staff. If you spend your time, maybe it's not your skills to do a payroll, run, spreadsheets, that sort of thing. We have a team that would do that for you for a low cost. Frees you up to work, focus on what your actual passion is and what you're doing.
It's also quite complicated. Things like payroll and accounting and that kind of thing can get quite in depth.
It is, yeah, exactly. And obviously, if you're, we work with groups that aren't necessarily formal charities, but if you are actually a registered charity, then you've got to fulfil certain criteria. So you also have to have your books done, those sorts of things. So it requires, specialist skills. So we do those sorts of things and many other things. And that, basically the idea is frees them up to do what they're good at, what they're passionate about.
Awesome. So your role at the organisation?
So I'm CEO, and I've been there for about 4.5 years. So I get involved. It's quite a nice role in that I get to get involved in all sorts of things. So it's no 2 days are the same. And the great thing about charities is they operate in almost any area of life. So I'm more of a generalist rather than a specialist. So it means I get to sort of learn about lots of different things, meet different people, and sort of understand what they're trying to achieve and then how we can help them.
And what drew you into charity work? Because it's not for everyone. Any sort of work in the public sector and charity invariably is not going to be paying what the private sector is. So was it a sense of duty, or did you kind of just fall into the charity life?
Taking away my joke, I was going to say for the money. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I think it is challenging at the moment in terms of public services more generally and charities. Yeah, so I suppose I mean, I think it's a number of things. So I mean, I've done almost. I was going to say every type of job. I've done everything from I was an estate agent. I've cut cabbages on the field. I taught history in China. I worked for the council. I worked in universities and done all sorts of things really. So I've got quite a wide range of interests and experiences. I guess the bit that kind of really got me interested in working with charities was during COVID. So I was working on when there was lockdown. There were people who were clinically shielding. And I was one of the people that was tasked with setting up the food delivery service from Westcroft. And like there was, and so a lot of what we were doing was working with charities to sort of, beyond delivering food, was to sort of check that people were okay, offer them support, emotional support, that sort of thing. So I began working quite closely, and I think each week we'd like pack all the food in the morning, and then there'd be boxes for one person, families, 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, 5. And every week the pile for one person, and these are people who had no family available, no relatives, no neighbours. It just broke my heart every week, because there's this stack of 200-300 people who are on their own for weeks. So but then in the afternoon, so in the morning I'd be feeling really sad. In the afternoon, people would come queue around the block to take that food, go and talk to those people. So there was that really sort of almost sad thing, but then the realisation that there's this kind of real amazing will in the community to do something about it. And I think there's something that really nice about charities, where whilst you have to have a focus on what you're supposed to deliver, you can be quite creative. You can you can do things differently, and you can do things quite quickly. So I think that kind of attracted me, and yeah, I think trying to move the world from where it is to where it should be, which is what I think a lot of people want to do, but it gives you a feeling that you're in a very small way doing that.
No, I absolutely agree. I mean, the isolation thing actually is something that we're working on this year. We're trying to find a way to find those people in society that are isolated and kind of connect them through radio.
Yeah.
But it's a big, and I think actually social media, while it should help, I think it's kind of made things worse in a way, isn't it?
I think it can do both, can't it? And I think the thing that it does is kind of reflect. I think if you know the fear of missing out, FOMO. I feel like if you go on social media, it seems like everyone's a millionaire, everyone's got loads of their life's perfect, and we kind of know that's not necessarily the truth, isn't it? But I guess if the more isolated you are, I could see it has the power to connect, but also probably the power to make you feel like you're even more alone sometimes.
I think if you've got teenage daughters, you kind of then see the other side of it, because and I think it's not so much for boys as well, but I think for girls, it really is. I mean, the internet's quite a scary place.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think for everyone, isn't it? Really, I think it. Before we went on there, we were talking about how great the internet is in terms of music interest. Because we were kind of saying, I was saying when I was younger, like no one in my immediate friend circle liked the same. They still don't actually, but no one liked the same music as I do. And I think so. There's something great there about connecting people with different ideas, different views. But obviously, on the flip side, that can be a negative thing as well, can't it? So yeah.
But I think overall, social media it certainly helps people that do what we do in a big way. Anyone who isn't familiar, how would you sum up a sort of day-to-day at Community Action Sutton? So what's a tip? I know you said it's different every day. What's a typical day kind of look like?
So I think it would depend on the kind of team member. I guess for me, I'd sort of do, like I said, I do have quite a wide-ranging set of roles. But I guess the core stuff we do, so we've got two or three people that focus on, they're out in the community, so 2 of them are focused on 4 particular areas, so St Helier, Roundshaw, Ben Hill and Shanklin, and so they're community development workers, so their role is actually to go out and talk to the community about. So I think quite often what happens is if an area is seen as deprived, people go in and say, if you go to people, what's wrong with this area? Why is this area no good? And people are like, well, I like it here. Our approach, I'm being a little bit kind of to make the point. But our approach, and I think the approach of a lot of charities is to take the opposite approach, which is like, what do you like about being here? What have you got? What are the assets? Like as in, like you've got a nice park, you've got a great sense of community, and then you go to like, well, what is it that you want to do that you currently aren't able to do? So we're quite interested in sort of, again, like isolation, anything that leads to sort of helping people more healthy, more connected, and then by starting with what's good. And then finding out what people want and where their passion is, those team members will try and find a way to make it happen. So whether that's finding money in terms of grant, helping with a project plan, bringing together meetings, or bringing in whatever the agencies they are that they need to make that happen. Really, so it's kind of that's a lot of what we do. Really, is trying to work sort of from the community up and find solutions for problems. And then I guess the other thing is more generally we do a lot of work around kind of trying to. And again, we'll come on to this with Small Charity Week, trying to publicise and advocate for the role of charities, what they do, and crucially, making sure that they're getting funded and not forgotten when decisions are made. But I guess I can touch on that more when we talk about Small Charity Week.
Before we go to your first song, do you think, I mean, obviously, this particular borough, I think, in terms of community and charity, is probably one of the best, certainly in anywhere I've been in the UK. Do you think, though, that it's a shame that we've got to the stage where a lot of things that probably shouldn't be left to charities have been?
I mean, well, I think it's a tricky one. I mean, we've gone through many years of cutting costs in terms of what is spent in terms of prevention. So I think the challenge I see is we've taken a lot of money away from projects that stop people falling into ill health, projects that bring people together, and projects basically that stop people from getting ill. We've pumped money into fixing people at the point at which they're already unwell, or and that doesn't work for everyone because it costs more money. It's not good for the person, and I think, you know, in the long run it's just going to continue to get worse. So I think there are a number of different reasons for that. I think it's more popular to put money into their health service, less popular to put it into prevention. I think it's also quite hard to prove, because, you know, how do you prove prevention works without just, you know? So there's some tricky things there. I think we're at a point now, though, where people are beginning to see that if we don't start focusing back on prevention, that we can't kind of patch our way out of the problem.
Completely agree. So your first song, The Sacred Souls, or The Sacred Souls? Yeah,
so, I mean, this was sometimes when I'm trying to write something, I've got Spotify, and, you know, it kind of goes on random, and this is just one that popped up, and I think it was produced in the last year, or, you know, it's very new, but it's quite a kind of soul sort of vibe. I just loved it when I heard it.
I got a little taste of your love the other day.
So we're going to talk about local impact. So what kind of support do you offer to charities, community groups and volunteers in Sutton?
So yeah, so like I was saying, we kind of so I guess we'll work with if someone out there is thinking, I don't know, I want to like do a small project. So like we work with anything from Friends of Park, so that could be people that want to do litter picks, that maybe want to kind of find small bits of money to improve the park in their area. We would work with an organisation, maybe there's a group that's been working. I don't know, like let's say like they put on once a week. They put on something for older people where there's food, activities, and they kind of been doing it with little bits of donations and fundraising, and they keep getting more and more people, and they realise that they need to become more established. So we would help them with making sure they've got the right policies in place. We do a lot. I mean, some of the sort of somewhat boring but important stuff. So make sure you've got the policy stuff around safeguarding, health and safety, that sort of thing. We then also, if they wanted to become a charity, so help them through the process of setting up with the Charity Commission. And then the important bit is once you've got those things in place, helping them apply for funding. So we run, on behalf of the NHS and the council, we run a number of different sort of funding pots. And they're for, again, I'll touch on them a bit more later. But they'll be for anything from like I think the lowest amount you can bid for is about 300 quid, up to about 10,000. And that will be to sort of... and I guess a lot of what we're trying to do is make sure that we're there to help the small groups with the small amounts of money. And then if there's a larger group maybe that's doing a sort of larger scale project, we're often helping them to try and bid for money outside of the borough. So National Lottery, City Bridge, those ones, to sort of make their projects larger.
Because I think that's the hardest thing. I mean, one of the hats I wear here at Redis Leader is fundraising.
Yeah.
And I think you've got all these little funds locally, but you've got a lot of people all vying for this little bit of money. And I mean, I don't envy the people that got to make the decision, but it's so hard. And sometimes, if you haven't got experience doing that, you can find that it's easy to get kind of overrun and not so. You might be incredibly passionate about it, but not able to convey that because it's got to be on an A4 piece of paper, and they can't really see how passionate you are and how much you care. They've got to just see what they can get from what they can read.
Yeah, and it is absolutely that. And I think like we have the Sutton Community Fund, so that's money that comes from Sutton Council, and I'll like talk a bit more about that later. But like, so one of the things we've found is actually we'll run a session before to talk through like, here are the aims of the fund, here are the things that you'll need to sort of explain, and then we do a little bit of a session afterwards where people can sort of pitch their idea. Because I think there's two things. One is that people often focus on the idea rather than how they're going to get it done, and that's again where we would come in and help them sort of expand on that bit. Then the other thing that we often see is you'll have a group of sort of 5 or 6 people, and they'll have 3 ideas, and rather than pitching one really strong idea, they'll pitch 3 ideas that don't really fit together, and we'll sort of say that there were 3 great projects. Let's do one of them, and then and you'll almost certainly get funded for that because it makes sense. And then we'll come back to the other 2 later on, or we'll find you a different way of funding those, or because I think often it's everything in the kitchen sink. So, and again, that's the thing where quite a lot of what we'll do is we'll sometimes try and pair more established charities with newer ones, because again, it's nothing better than learning from people that have gone through the same process.
Absolutely. Give us an example of a small local charity or project that's had a big impact with your help.
So the one I thought the one I would suggest or mention is so I don't know if people know Hill House Community Centre, so just around the corner in Bishopsford Road.
Yeah.
So it's kind of behind the ambulance park. So that was run by a charity, and I think when was it, about 2017 maybe? They sort of realised they could no longer continue running it. And there was a sense that, so it's owned by the council, obviously we mentioned that costs are being reduced, so there was a concern that it might need to be sold, or if it wasn't in community use. So Community Action Sutton, so this was before my time, worked with the council and the community to take it over, and the plan at the time was to find another charity to take it over. Unfortunately, we had COVID and various other things, and there was a period where having a building wasn't exactly a very useful thing, but it served as a vaccination centre, then it was eventually a food delivery hub. Anyway, so last year we managed to find a charity called People Arise Now, who are there now, who wanted to take it on and develop it. So that they're doing all sorts of things there now. Like I think they've got a community food shop. They've got a clothes rail, as in like a swap shop type thing. There's books. They run. I mean, I won't go through it all, but there's exercise classes for people who are trying to get back into maybe that don't want to go to a gym, and they're really just trying to develop it as a community asset. And I think the thing I'm most happy about is I think if we hadn't stepped in, that may have been sort of, I don't know, maybe it would be flats or it'd be something else. And whereas
flats
now,
that our children can't afford to buy, you mean?
well, I think I think this is the challenge, isn't it? That I think there's pressures to develop and pressures to bring in money, but also I think there's not enough community space for people to come together and get to know each other. So
actually, I think that for me is a better use of the older buildings rather than try and squeeze something modern into something quite old. Is to use that for the community, because then you get to retain the heritage, and the community gets to enjoy it.
I'd agree. It's actually a really beautiful building because I was in there, and it's got this. You could use it in like what's it called, Downton Abbey or something. If it's got this beautiful central staircase, and because it was a stately home before, although now that staircase comes down and you've got the food shop and other stuff there. But I agree, and I just think the more we can come together and get to know each other, the more it's easy to understand people as humans rather than like labels. I think, and that's what community space does, isn't it?
Definitely. Nadine Shah.
So this was so she's an artist I got kind of listening to I think during lockdown, and this is quite an interesting song because it references one of my favourite singers called Nick Cave, but it's just a fun song, and I think it's sort of talking about a certain type of person, a certain type of man, hopefully not me.
Sweet, all plain and weak, go let the
So the reason you're here, we're going to spotlight on Small Charity Week. Now that starts on Monday, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah, 23rd, and we're kicking it all off then.
What's it all about?
So again, I think I kind of mentioned this before that there's there are a lot of local charities, so people are aware of some of the ones that might sort of slow you down in the high street, those types, the larger scale charities. But it's an opportunity for us to kind of, I guess, sort of shine a light on, as you said, and promote some of those smaller charities. So some of them, there's the Wallington Wellbeing Charity, which works just in Wallington, for example. And then there's others that have a very specific focus. And so I think what we're doing through the week is trying to make sure people are aware of those charities locally, because often, I guess, like going back to my motivation for being involved in this sort of work, you might want to change the world, but actually it's much more realistic to sort of do something in your community. Yeah. And I think it's more meaningful sometimes to people to do something that they can actually see the effect. I don't know, like I keep going back to Friends of Park, but like parks in Sutton are really nice. And, that like trying to make them better is like something that you could go and see every day. That if you get some money to put a flower bed in, you see there's flowers every spring, for example. So there's a slightly more tangible thing. And I think, like I say, there's lots of sort of small charities that only work in Sutton. So we're trying to sort of make sure people are aware of them.
Yeah, I quite like that idea of these sort of small local charities, because I think you're right. You can see the kind of fruits of your labour, where I suppose if you're working on a national level, it sometimes can get blurred, can't it? You can't really see what effect you're having in your small little corner. Why do you think this week is particularly important for smaller charities?
So I think there's one of the things that happens with the smaller charities, as I was kind of saying before, even ones where they have 15, 20 people, the funds available to charities are very limited, so that they'll usually be quite lean. So what I mean by that is they're not going to have, much as it'd be nice, you're not going to have an HR person, you're not going to have a computer person. Everyone has to be a bit of a Swiss Army knife. So you need people who've got a range of different skills, because you just don't have that luxury, and you only really get that when you've got a much larger organisation. So what that can mean in practice is they're often just focused on keeping the light switched on, as in bringing in funding, doing the work that they want to be doing with the people or the cause they support. So quite often there's not really time for them to think about things like training or even promoting themselves, or not as much as they'd like. So Small Charity Week provides a chance for a bit of a pause. It provides, so this is the sort of thing we'd be doing week on week as much as we try, but it means it's a real chance to focus on promoting them, offering different training and support, and really just trying to kind of get the message out there for those smaller ones.
Because I think the promotions are a really difficult thing, because you want people to know what you're doing and want people to get on board, but then it's so difficult to get it out there. I mean, social media is a minefield, as we were saying earlier, and you can put a post and immediately it's getting swallowed up by a host of other things which are probably not important, but people find a little bit more interesting. Yeah. What kind of events will be happening locally?
So we've been doing a lot of sessions around meeting the funder. So what we mean by that is bringing together. So because it's local smaller charities, we're focusing more on local. So trusts, organisations that are looking to give money to charities for different causes. So we've got the Bedderton Community Benefit Fund. But in the past, we've done ones with. I know you're working with Easy Fundraising, for example.
Yeah.
So for those people that don't know, that's a model where if people buy things through a certain link, the charity of your choice gets some money. So it's like a really sort of quick and easy way of raising money. So we put people together with them. But we're also doing some sort of slightly different stuff. We're working with someone from Surrey University to do a session around the use of AI. So that's really about how charities can use AI to. So I think there's a sense that it's like AI or staff, and actually what this session is about is trying to find ways to use AI to free up, because obviously most of your organisations, the main cost is staff. So it's trying to take away tasks that waste their time so that you can use their skills in the best possible way.
Yeah.
And then we're doing things like sort of managing your book surgeries, or trying to find, if we can also do. So we've got a thing called Grant Finder, which people will be shocked to know is a system that finds grants. But what's really good about that is as you probably know yourself, you can spend a lot of time searching through a fund. Oh, this sounds great. This sounds perfect. You go through, yeah, this is definitely great, and then the criteria are all wrong. They're not accepting bids from organisations of your size, your shape, or whatever. So grant finder, you can tell us who you are, who you work with, what you're looking to do, and with who, and it will give you a list of these are the funds you can bid to for those things. Saves a huge amount of time. So we're doing that as well. And then the last bit is, as always, social media campaign. I'll get in trouble if I don't mention that. So Facebook, Twitter, those sorts of things. And again, each day we're going to be shining a light on different charities. I think one of them being St Helier Radio.
Fantastic. Looking forward to that one. And that'll be the most important one, of course. Katie J. Pearson fixed me up.
So again, actually, I didn't mean to do this, but this is another one of the COVID. I think I was probably, during COVID, I was my flatmate had moved back home with his parents because he was shielding. So I was in a flat in Stockwell on my own with 2 cats. So I'm working sort of 10-hour days, trying to find food and stuff for that project I mentioned. So I think I might have been going a bit mad. So I was playing a lot of music because obviously you were talking about isolation. I think hearing voices, hearing radio and music and stuff is a way of kind of making you feel like you're kind of alone, not alone. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I just think this is a really nice song and kind of a different style. So yeah, I hope people like that one too.
Come on, fix me up. I'm still waiting and hesitating for seasons to change and my life to change. And I'm still waiting and hesitating for seasons to change and my life to wait. So fix me up. Come on and fix me up. Don't you think I've had enough?
So looking ahead, what's on the horizon for Community Action Sutton after Small Charity Week? Because obviously your work's going to continue. Any other exciting plans or projects in the future?
Yeah, so we're looking next year to put on a charity conference in Sutton. So that's something which will bring together sort of different sizes of charities for them to learn from one another, and we'll probably also try and bring in. So we talk to our counterparts in particularly southwest London and London around what they're doing in terms of initiatives. So I don't know, for example, there's quite a lot of charities that are looking at how they can generate income. So sort of sharing with people some of the projects that have worked in other parts of the country, because that's always, again, as you know, always the sort of thing that charities are trying to keep one eye on is having a good income and being able to continue to fund the work they need to do. So that'll be next year, and I think there'll also be a bit where we sort of we probably try and bring in people from the NHS and from the council. So we do a lot of work with them to try and make them aware of what's available via charities, because as I think people will know, there's a huge amount of demand on the NHS, but also around on social care, and a lot of the work that charities do is to try and sort of support people in the community, find ways to reduce isolation, increase activity, improve health, that sort of thing. So I guess all things that help reduce demand on public services and keep people well for longer. So there's that. I think the other thing we were chatting about while the song was playing was we hold a series of different funds. So the one that's out right now, actually, so if anyone is involved in charities or a small group, we've got the Sutton Community Fund. So that's money that we're given by Sutton Council to manage on their behalf and allocate. So that's for you can bid for £500 up to £5,000. And I'd have a look on our website, which I'll mention later, for the actual criteria. But the three sort of themes that we're looking for bids around are anything to do with cost of living, so isolation, issues around food, activity, those sorts of things, an inclusive place for anyone. So that could be something around reducing disadvantages, bringing people together, or making a positive change or solving a problem. So again, it's quite broad. And then action around climate, so anything making things more sustainable, recycling. So I don't know, something like a repair cafe. I know we already have one of those, but that's the sort of thing that would fit under that. And again, I think if you've got an idea that you feel like might fit or doesn't quite fit into there, come and have a chat with one of us, because what we can do is help kind of frame it so you meet the criteria.
And put a bit of meat on the bones. Sometimes you've got the idea and you don't know how to implement that idea.
Yeah, and I think, exactly. And I think there's a bit about, and again, the other thing is that what we often try and do is when charities come to ask us about this, that's a good way of hooking them in and asking them about whether they want to become a member of Community Action Sutton. And then we would then be able to give them all the help and advice. And that membership's free, I should say. It's, when you mention membership, it sounds like there's going to be a cost. And with this community fund, we're quite interested in stuff around support for children and young people, and that could be children with special education needs and disabilities, or just sort of more generally. So I think that if that helps as well, that's another hook people can use to try and frame their projects.
So for people who are listening, who might be a part of a local group and thinking of starting something, what's the best way to get in touch or to get involved?
So, I as always, I would sort of say have a look on our website, which is, if you just Google Community Action Sutton. And I think if you've got any sort of idea or project, which, it could almost be anything that you think will make your community better. So I would say, you can either look at our website and go from there. That will give contact details. You can drop us a line on info@communityactionsutton.org.uk. And then we can go from there, really, because I think often the best way to start is with a conversation, trying to understand what that person, what they're excited to do, who they want to work with, that sort of thing, and we can go from there. And I think that one step might be to sort of put them together with an existing charity or help them set up a group in their own area. And I guess the other thing is that I think you sort of touched on this before. There is a lot of stuff going on in Sutton already. We sort of have over 300 charities on our membership list. But I reckon, well, we did a bit of a survey recently looking at the Charity Commission. There's probably more like 500, and that's charities. So then there's also the groups that aren't registered. So there's all sorts going on. And I guess the main thing for us is, if you know of a group, if they need any of the things we've mentioned, funding, support, guidance, work around policies, just put them in touch with us, and we can try and help them go from there.
Your next song by the Black Pumas.
Yeah, so again, it's just a really nice uplifting song. I think I was saying I was trying to avoid songs that would make people turn off. So what I did, I've got a playlist I have when sometimes it's like, I don't know, maybe it's like a rainy Tuesday and you're working from home and it's like, you need a little bit of a lift. So I've got a playlist that I kind of fire on, and quite a few of these are from there that are a bit more upbeat. So I think it's quite nice. It's quite a nice video too.
I woke up to the morning sky first, baby blue just like we rehearsed. When I get up off this ground, I shake leaves back down to the brown, 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 till I'm clean. Then I walk, I'll be shaded by the trees, by a meadow of green, for about a mile. I'm headed to town, 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 in style, with all my favorite colors, yes sir, all my favorite colors, like my sisters and my brothers, see them like no other, all my favorite colors. It's a good day to be, a good day for me, a good day to see my favorite colors, colors. My sisters and my brothers, they see them like no other, all my favorite colors. Now take me to the other side, with a bitty bluebird fly, in gray clouds or white walls or blue skies, we gon' fly, feel alright. We gon' yeah. They sound like yeah. The least I can say, I anticipate a homecoming parade as we renegade in the morning light, with all my favorite colors, yes sir.
We're going to lighten things up a bit with a quick fire round. Just say the first thing that comes to your mind. Favourite local cafe or lunch spot in Sutton?
So, I mean, I want to pretend that I'm healthy, but probably like Tim's or Poppins. Like they're the. If I'm going to have something that's not sandwiches, I'll go there. Yeah.
Tim's is a big local favourite.
Yeah.
One charity or cause that's really close to you. I know you can't be favourite, but
Yeah,
got to
I'll
be,
get in trouble.
everyone's got a favourite.
If I say favourite charity, I'll get in trouble. But I mean, I'm a volunteer for Age UK Lambeth, so I kind of do their befriending programme. So I guess that will be the one I do.
Early bird or night owl?
I'm not sure. I think if I could be, I'd be a night owl. But I typically have to get up fairly early. So yeah, when I retire, I'll be a night owl.
Best advice you've ever been given?
So this was a really great question. I don't know where I got this from. I didn't make it up. I wish I did. But I remember someone either in writing or on a podcast saying this is the only self-help book you ever need. And they said the answers are inside you. There are no shortcuts. Don't give up.
It's quite Yoda-esque.
Well, I just think for me, I think it kind of captures and distills like lots of things that I've learned through life in a way that I wasn't able to articulate. But I think there's that thing, isn't it? Like you want to people want to sort of search for hacks and shortcuts. It's like, you know what the right thing to do is. The hard thing is not to know that, it's to actually do it, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's no way around doing hard work, and as long as you don't give up, you're gonna be successful in the end. At least that's what I try and tell myself.
Mine actually was my grandmother used to have it written. She had a cupboard in the kitchen. She had it on a piece of paper to the back of the cupboard. And it just said, between the great things you can't do and the small things you won't do, you'll do nothing. So go and do something.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. And I think that is going again. There's a bit of a theme here, isn't there? Where it's like I think it's easy to be paralysed by like how much needs to be fixed in the world when actually. The reason that small charities are so great is that they're doing something tangible and locally that will actually lead to a difference. And if everyone did that everywhere, we would be moving.
The whole lot would work, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we're moving towards the world as it should be, rather than the world as it is. Yeah.
One song that always lifts your mood.
So I'm quite a big fan of karaoke. Anyone who's in earshot of me typically isn't. But one I like doing as a duet is this song, "Cheap Thrills." By Sia and Sean Paul. I'll leave people to guess which one I do.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Friday night and I won't be long. Gotta do my hair, put my makeup on. It's Friday night and I won't be long till I hit the dance floor, hit the dance floor. I got all I need. No, I ain't got cash, but I got you, baby. Baby, I don't need dollar bills to have fun tonight. Baby, I don't need dollar bills to have fun tonight. I don't need no money as long as I can feel the beat. I don't need no money as long as I keep dancing. Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long. Gotta paint my nails, put my high heels on. It's Saturday and I won't be long till I hit the dance floor, hit the dance floor. I got all I
So that was Simon Breeze from Community Action Sutton. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Do check out what's happening for Small Charities Week starting on July 23rd. That's on Monday. Show your support for the incredible work of local groups. You can find out more at communityactionsutton.org.uk.
Sweet dreams are made up. Now I've come back again.